Welcome to the 2026 NASCAR season preview with Maria from Maria's Formula for Victory. I have taken a lot of notes. I have some thoughts. We're going to talk about the schedule changes, where I think the wins are going to come from this year, who is going to do better, who's going to do worse, and maybe who's going to get their first wins. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? So we'll talk about some schedule changes. The All-Star race is now in Dover, May 17th, and now North Wilkesboro will have a points race July 19th. Mexico City Street Course is out. San Diego Street Course is in, June 21st. I will be there. Very excited for that. Race the Base, Trucks, Xfinity, O'Reilly's, and Cup. Chicago Street Course is out. Chicagoland is back in, July 5th. You fans better go. We didn't want the street course. People were clamoring to bring Chicagoland back. So you better go. I wish I could go. I cannot because I'm going to too many races already, but I would like to go, so people better go. Big news, the Roval is gone. There is no more Roval. It is just the Charlotte Oval. So the regular season is going to end in Daytona, and the chase is going to begin at Darlington. There are also now no road courses in the chase. That's another big update. We have no more playoffs. We have the chase. We have a 10-race chase, 16 drivers. I'm sure all of you know that by now, but we have to add that in. So, the only road courses this year are COTA, March 1st, which I'm going to. I've always wanted to go to COTA ever since NASCAR started racing there. The track looks so cool, and they do a lot of great fan activations, and like the fan zone looks amazing. Last year they had the Ride the Dente, the like inflatable bowl that you ride, but instead of a bowl, it was a shaker cup from Chili's. Better have that again because I want to ride the Dente bad. So then we have Watkins Glen, May 10th. Again, that's San Diego Street Course, the 21st. And they're going to stay in California and go to Sonoma right after that. So, last year, as we are now still talking about road courses, we know that 2025 was the year of SVG and road courses. So COTA, Bell did win that. But then we had Mexico City, Chicago, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, and the Roval all won by SVG. All of his wins came on the road course. He did have 2 top 10s outside of his wins. However, even with his 5 wins, his average finish was 21.9. So at COTA, he came in 6th. In Kansas, he came in 10th. Richmond and Charlotte, he came in 14th. North Wilkesboro, which was not a points-paying race, he came in 13th. And then at Talladega, he came in 11th. So, things I want to consider this year. We now have Connor Zilisch racing full-time in the Cup Series. We still have drivers like Bell, Larson. Honestly, even Chris Buescher has a great average finish on road courses since 2023. Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott. Byron has 2 wins on road courses and street courses since 2023. There are still going to be other drivers, so that will give SVG competition. And then we have Zilisch, who really is going to give SVG competition. We also now have less street or road course races in this season. So there's going to be, even if SVG wins all of them, there's less in general. There's only 4, not 6. So to conclude that section, basically, I think there's going to be less wins for SVG just by the fact that we have less road courses. Then we also have other competition. So that's my take on that. However, he's doing a little better, I think you could say, qualitatively on ovals. I don't know that quantitatively it's there yet. He's still a little sporadic, but he's making progress. So I'm not going to say he can't do anything on an oval yet, but I still haven't seen enough to show me I have faith in him there. So next I'm going to move on to drivers who I think could get their first win this year. We're going to start with someone everyone's probably going to hate when I say this, but I do think Ty Gibbs is close and he could get one. In 2025, he had 5 top 5s. Bristol, he came in 3rd. Michigan, he came in 3rd. Chicago Street Course, he came in 2nd. Talladega, he came in 3rd. In Dover, he came in 5th. All of this were different types of tracks. So Bristol, a short track. Street courses, super speedways. Michigan, an intermediate 2-mile track. And Dover, an intermediate 1-mile track. It shows he can perform at all types of tracks. His average finish was 17.86, which is similar to 2024, but he's had those top 5s. He's been close a lot. He has not had his help of his teammate. So I think this year there is a chance he could get a win at any track, really, if you look at that performance last year. Next is Carson Hocevar. Now, his average finish was 21.58. He only had 2 top 5s. He came in 2nd at Atlanta and 2nd at Nashville. He had 8 DNFs, which needs to change. He needs to be making better decisions. He needs to finish more races. If he does this, obviously his average finish is going to improve. But I also think making some better decisions, knowing when to pick your fight, will get him a win. He's shown he can race up at the front, maybe not too successfully all the time without wrecks and contact. However, he does have 2 top 5s, both 2nd places. I would not be shocked if we saw a Carson Hocevar win this year. I also could see Todd Gilliland or Zane Smith eking out a win. We've seen last year glimpse of some good performances running up at the top. I think if one of those 2 drivers win, I wouldn't be shocked either. So those are the 4 drivers that I'm thinking about. Now there is a 5th. And since I made these notes, he's actually won in a Cup car. So I think you know where I'm going with this. Next on my list was going to be Ryan Preece. Now it is still Ryan Preece because he has not won a points rank Cup race. However, if you missed it, which I highly doubt if you're listening to this, you missed it, he did win the Clash. Now your opinions of the Clash are going to be for another time. However, he did win. It was very emotional. To me, it made all of it worth it. So I also think Preece is going to get one. And I think the Clash win proved my point even more. So I did write this before the Clash, but the Clash has given me more confidence in my take for RFK. I think it's going to be the year of RFK. So let's take a look at Preece, Buescher, and Keselowski individually. Last year, Ryan Preece had an average finish of 15.7, and the year before that was 20.89. In 2024, he only had 1 top 5. Last year, he had 3. In 2024, he had 4 DNFs, and last year he only had 2. So he vastly improved his performance from the year before. He just got that Clash win. I think the momentum and RFK building as a team is really going. I'm sorry, I'm so wheezy all of a sudden. My asthma, sorry. Okay. I do think that Preece is going to have the momentum, the motivation to go out there and get another win. Maybe even multiple. Then we have Buescher. Buescher is the king of consistency. So in 2024, his average finish was 14.31. Last year was 14.33. 6 top 5s 2 years ago, 5 top 5s last year. He did get a win in 2024, none last year, and he did have 2 DNFs each year. Mr. Consistency, and I think that consistency is going to pay off. He's at the front a lot of times, and I think he's going to get a win as well. I could see both of them getting wins. I could see both of them getting multiple wins. Then we have Brad Keselowski, who did take a step back last year. His average finish went from 15.61 to 18.5. His top fives dropped from 9 to 6. He did have a win in 24 as well, and then he had 3 DNFs in 24, and last year he had 7. So I think Brad hopefully has a bit better year. The formula kept wanting to give him a win, give him a good year, and luck was not on his side. So I think luck has to change. It's going to be the year for RFK, and I'm excited to see how they do. How cool would it be if all 3 of those drivers were in the chase? Now, luckily for them, especially Buescher with his consistency, you do not need wins to get into the chase. You need consistency. However, wins help a lot. You got extra bonus points now for wins. So I do have faith in RFK. And I think 1, 2, 3 of their drivers will get wins. I realistically think at least 2. And I think 2 will get into the chase, maybe. I'm not there yet to make chase predictions. But something's in my bones is telling me RFK this year. So next we're going to move on, if I can survive my asthma, to talk about some top dogs, our normal drivers who we think are going to get some wins. This is where I kind of predict the wins. I don't know if I'm going to be even close to right or my thoughts, what I'm thinking. It might be all over the place, but let's see. So basically, I did the same thing that I just did for RFK for all these drivers. I looked at their wins, their average finishes, their top fives, their DNFs in the last 2 years, so I can see what they're averaging out. Did they have a great year? Did they have a usual year? Did they take a step back? How many wins I think they're going to get? So on and so forth. So if we're going to first start off with Kyle Larson. Last year, he did have 3 wins. We know he won the championship. His average finish was 4th amongst all drivers. Each year he averaged about 13th position for his average finish. He's had 15 top 5s the past 2 years. Last year he only had 2 DNFs. The year before that he had 5. That's a big upgrade. That helps a lot, those non-DNFs. He's going to need that. He did get 6 wins in 24, so, definitely some room to grow for wins, but that's where I'm giving Larson. If you give him in the middle there, I think he could get 3 to 4 wins. Now we have Christopher Bell. Last year, he had 4 wins. The year before that, he had 3. Again, consistent with his average finish around 11th to 12th. Usually about 15 to 13 top 5s, and he did get 6 DNFs both years. So the DNFs are going to not what you want to see. But he's pretty consistent, and he is good for about 3 to 4 wins as well. Denny Hamlin. Now, he had a big win year last year. He won 6 races. That is a big step up from the year before where he won 3. Now, he finished around 14th. Last year was 13.97. That was 5th best. And he had 14 top 5s. The year before that, he had 12. And then both years, he had 4 DNFs. I do not think, no offense to Denny Hamlin, he is going to get 6 wins again. I think that's a lot of wins to expect out of someone. That doesn't mean I think he's going to, regress. I just think that's a lot of wins to expect. I'm putting him more at 3. About 3 wins. I'm going to give him about 3 wins. The other thing to consider about Denny Hamlin, as we know, he's been through a lot. First of all, he had the case. Now that maybe gave him positive momentum, but then he had the terrible, unfortunate news of the fire at his parents' home and his father unfortunately passing away. Denny said in an interview recently, and I was thinking this as well, that it can go one of either way for him, and he has to decide how that goes. he can take this all and run with it as motivation and win, or he can let him get him down, and no one would really fault him for that because that's a lot that he has been through. Oh, and his injury, I guess, now too. So, and he's not going to have surgery on it. So if he does regress, honestly, I would not blame him for that. But he's so close to retirement. He's so close to achieving a championship. Denny is the type of driver who puts in the work. He's constantly practicing. He's constantly talking and learning from other drivers. I see him taking this opportunity and using it as motivation. I really do. So then let's look at Ryan Blaney. Last year he had 4 wins. The year before that he had 3. He improved his average finish by a little bit, 15.22 2 years ago, 14.61 last year, 15 top 5s. But fortunately, I feel like this happens to him every year. The bad luck, the engine bad luck, the DNF bad luck. He had 8 DNFs last year, and that's never going to work. That's not going to be great. So I'm giving Blaney, I think he's going to have less DNFs. I think he's going to have some better luck. I think he should do better just on getting rid of some of those DNFs. So I'm going to give him 4 to 5 wins. I think it's going to be a good year for Ryan Blaney. William Byron, the past 2 years, has gotten 3 wins each year. His average finish actually was better 2 years ago, shockingly. He did have 11 top 5s last year, 13 the year before, and 4 DNFs past 2 years. I'm giving him 3 wins again. Logano. Let's talk about Logano. He has a pattern. 1 win, 4 wins. 1 win, 4 wins. So what year are we? We're on a 4-win year. He likes those patterns, doesn't he? I don't think he does that on purpose, because if he could win a championship on command, he'd probably win one every year. However, I'm going to give him 4 wins just based off of the pattern. His average finish last year was 15.3 and 17.11 the year before. Past 2 years, he's had 5 top 5s, which seems low for how many wins he has and for how many times you think of him as a top driver. So 7 seems low. And then he had 6 DNFs 2 years ago and only 3 last year. So that group right there, Larson, Bell, Hamlin, Blaney, Byron, Logano, that is 23 wins. Plus I'm giving 2 wins to a new winner. I'm giving 3 wins to SVG. I'm giving 2 wins to RFK. Now, this is all conservative. Obviously, I think people are capable of more, but I just had a starting point. This is conservative speaking. So that puts us at 30. So we have 6 more wins, right? Where are those going to come from? Now, at this point, I'm sure some of you are like, wait, there's some drivers we missed. And you would be right about that. My brain doesn't work great sometimes and works interesting ways. So I did, in my notes, go differently. But I'm, for concisiveness, going to go where you're probably thinking. Chase Elliott. He is another Mr. Consistency. Last year, he had 2 wins. The year before that, he had 1. He had 11 top 5s the past 2 years each. His average finish was second best with 12.61, and the year before it was 11.72. He had 3 DNFs last year, 2 the year before. So I'm giving Chase Elliott 2 wins, we'll say. And then we got Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, 3 wins last year, 1 win the year before. 15 top 5s, 3 the year before. And last year, his average finish was 12.67, which was 3rd best. He had 4 DNFs. So I think Briscoe could also get another 2 wins. I don't know if he'll get 3, so I'm giving a conservative 2 for each of them. So now let's recap again. 23 from the drivers that I initially talked about. We got 2 to 4 from Chase and Briscoe. Well, they're both Chases, aren't they? Chase Elliott and Chase Briscoe. Interesting that I forgot both of the Chases. Interesting. Okay, and then 2 coming from new drivers that have never had a NASCAR win before. That's a lot. We don't usually get that many. But we're just doing the prediction, right? We've got to start somewhere. 3 SVG, 2 wins from RFK. I also think you're going to get 2 from a random super speedway wins. A Ricky Stenhouse, a McDowell, who knows? Those, I'm not predicting who is going to win them, but I'm just saying 2 are going to come from a random, probably super speedway win. Then we got 1 more. And I'm going to go into who I think is going to get that 1 more and who I think is not going to get that 1 more. Let's talk about Kyle Busch. What a year for Kyle Busch, and not in a good way. I like Kyle Busch, especially now that he's a Chevy. Can't say I really liked him too much before that. Sorry. I like his passion. I like his drive. Some of his interviews, you know, things he did. However, now that he's a Chevy man, I like Kyle Busch. I want to see him do well, and so does NASCAR Nation. I saw so many times in my comments or other people's videos throughout the year that they want Kyle Busch to get a win, and they believed in him to get a win. He did not have any wins the past 2 years. Last year, he only had 3 top 5s, an average finish of 17.94 and 2 DNFs, which really I feel like should be a lot more. Based on the year that he had. So I'm going to double check that while we talk about it. I do want him to do better. I do. Do I think he will? Maybe a little better than what he did last year, but I'm going to be so honest with you. I do not think he is going to get a win next year. It pains me to say that. I would love for him to get one. I just don't think it's going to happen. So where do I think that win is going to come from? I think it is going to be Tyler Reddick. Let's talk about Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick, in my eyes, did not have a great year last year. Tyler Reddick had 0 wins, where the year before he had 3 wins. Last year he only had 7 top 5s, where the year before he had 12. His average finish last year was 14.47, where the year before was 13.19. He only did have 1 DNF last year, and the year before he had 4, so that's good. So while his DNFs went down, so did his wins. And I think he's going to get at least 1 next year. I can't see Tyler Reddick doing that again. I think he is going to get a win. Now, if we talk about his teammate Bubba Wallace, he also has a pattern where he has 1 win every other year. He got his win last year. I think Bubba Wallace is probably going to be consistent about where he is at. He had 6 top 5s last year, 6 the year before. His average finish actually was worse last year than the year before, and he had 9 DNFs. The year before, he only had 3, so I think that's where those DNFs are the drop in average finish is coming from. He had a win last year. I predicted it with my formula, by the way. And the year before that, he did not have a win. So I'm going to say he's not going to get a win this year. So let's recap this one last time now that we have the wins from everybody. 23 from that top dog grouping, we should say, minus the Chases, because I forgot to put them in there. Then we got 2 to 4 from the Chases. That gives us 26. Plus 2 new drivers, 3 SVG, 2 from RFK, which I think could be more. If I had to change anything, be like 2 new drivers, would lower that and give more to RFK. But again, we're just conservatively given a baseline. 2 to random super speedway winners and 1 to Tyler Reddick brings us to 36 wins. Am I going to be right? Absolutely not. I will probably be completely wrong, but just looking at the past couple years of performance, those are my thoughts. You can tell me where you agree, where you disagree. Ask me more questions in the comments and I can answer whatever else you want me to know or answer. For me personally, this year I'm going to COTA at the end of this month. I will also be attending the San Diego Street Course, as I mentioned. I'm going to Lime Rock Park again for the ARCA and Truck Series race. I am going to New Hampshire, duh. And then I also am going to probably be heading to Michigan again in June. And I may be heading to Bristol in September. Those are tentative. The other ones are 100%. As always, I am open to opportunity with working with brands, drivers, whoever. If they want to bring me to a race to make content, I am more than happy to go to more. That's just all my wallet can afford. I actually did have a cool opportunity potentially to go to Daytona. Unfortunately, the negotiations happened a little too close and accommodations were too high, but it is cool that I was offered an opportunity. It's cool to be acknowledged, so I'm happy with that. I think the truck series is going to have a great year. I'm excited for Nice Motorsports and I'm excited for Colleague. The Ram trucks, they're doing a lot. It's really cool. We've got Tony Stewart coming back for Daytona. We've got Travis Pastrana back. We've got Cletus testing and attempting for Nice Motorsports. I think it's going to be a great year for the truck series. I'm so excited to see how Ram does and to see who else is going to be running in these all-star trucks or free agent trucks, depending on how they, what they call it. The O'Reilly series, I think it's going to be hard saying O'Reilly's, and that should be pretty normal. I don't know, I'm not, I like watching it. I do watch it, but there's nothing that stands out for me that I'm like, ooh, this. So yeah, that is it. That is my 2026 season preview. Now remember, next week we start the season. So Wednesdays, I will be back with Race Ready with Maria. 3 things you need to know before placing any bets or making your fantasy lineup for the race this weekend. And then Saturdays or whenever practice and qualifying finishes, I always post my formula for victory, the top 5 drivers that I think could get a win that week. And if any of those 5 drivers wins, that means the formula wins. Last year we won at a 67% win rate. Let's keep that higher or the same. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon.